Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 698, 698, February the 19th, 2019, Tuesday. Thank you so much for tuning in to another commercial-free broadcast of TowerGate. No commercials, never has been, never will be. I'm interested in truth. I've got a job. Let's move on. Okay, I just want to, before I go and break down some of the finer points of the interview with Andy McCabe on 60 Minutes, first I just want to give a general overview of my general feelings of the interview. First of all, the most bombshell thing that came out obviously came out a week ago when they did the teaser about McCabe saying that, they discussed removing the president from office, Rodenstein wearing a wire. This was the most bombshell thing that was in the interview, and we got that a week ago in the teaser. In the actual interview, we didn't get very much anything that was worse than that. Of course, it's hard to get much worse than that, right? But I noticed something. If you watch the entire 60-minute broadcast, they actually had another excerpt where they spent like 20 minutes, and that wasn't 20, it was like 10, I think it was 12-minute video. About 12 minutes where they were talking to Scott Pelley and his producer. And it was all about, what a wonderful guy, McCabe is. They're giving his bio. He's worked his way up through the FBI. He wanted to be an FBI guy all his life, and the whole 9 yards, total puff piece that they did. And if you notice, there was also a lot of edits, a lot of strange edits. Just when you're about to get into some, really starting to get something out of him, they edit. Now, this is never done by a reporter. I mean, when a reporter knows that they've got someone who's now, leaning forward and they're now starting to cough it up, that's not when you hit the edit button. That's when you let the tape roll because they're about to say something that they probably shouldn't say. So, as I suggested about 3 or 4 days ago, I said, I can't believe that McCabe's lawyer is letting him do this. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if his lawyer tries to stop that interview. But, of course, they probably had a contract and could not do it. But they could probably call and negotiate, say, it'd really be really nice if you wouldn't show this or that or the other thing. And so I just have a sneaking suspicion. I have no evidence. I don't know this. But I have a sneaking suspicion that interview, the total interview was what, about 10 or 15 minutes or whatever. It wasn't that long. And considering to have, that type of a guest and that kind of a bombshell, the information he could provide, again, a lot of things, there was a lot of edits in there. So what you got was really a snippet. They had this golden opportunity for a fairly lengthy interview, but you got a very short interview, really, is what you got. So my general impression is that there was a lot more stuff there that they edited out. They shortened the interview, and they tried to fill up probably 10 or 12 minutes of what they didn't show by giving you this little puff piece with the producer and Pelley himself building up McCabe with his wonderful bio. Never telling the viewer at all during the time that he lied to the professional Office of Professional Responsibility at the FBI. He lied to the IG twice. He lied to Congress. They got him on 4 lies. He's under criminal indictment, a federal grand jury. They never ever brought any of that up. They bring him on here and make him look like he's some sort of a, God's gift to law enforcement as a credible source. And during the interview, I mean, when Cabe's making these incredible statements talking about the coup, you would have thought at some point Pelley would have said, really, a coup against the president, I bet you better have some really, really, really good evidence. I sure hope you got some really good evidence. And exactly what was the predicate crime. But never did Scott Pelley ever drill down on exactly why they launched all this. He at one point did ask McCabe, and McCabe's, we had this and this and this, and he talked about this and mentioned this and some things he said, and I could not believe it. It's like, dude, if that's the best you've got, your ass and a lot of other people are going to prison for a very, very long time. And the fact of the matter is, that's the truth. They don't have anything. How do we know they don't have anything? If they had anything, it probably would have been discovered by the House Intelligence Committee, the House Judiciary Committee, the House Oversight Committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, the Senate Intelligence Committee, the Senate Oversight Committee. It might have been found out by the gazillions of journalists panned out across the globe trying to prove the dossier was true. And it certainly would have been found by now from Uncle Bob the executioner. But here we are 2 years into it. Doesn't appear that he's got anything. Because there isn't anything. And the truth is going to come out. And it's exactly what Devin Nunes has been saying for over a year. They didn't have anything. All they had was the dossier. And when that's proven to be true, that all of this was done on the dossier, a lot of these people are going to jail. No doubt in my mind. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. Unless Mr. Barr is completely out to lunch. So that was my general feelings. I was literally, I couldn't believe it. They're going through this interview, and right when McCabe is talking about, the 25th Amendment and Rodenstein wearing a wire, I'm like, at that point, I'm thinking, I don't care who you are interviewing someone like that, the first thing that has to cross your mind is, man, you're talking about the President of the United States. You're launching these investigations into the President of the United States. You must have some really good evidence. You must have a really nasty predicate crime. A very serious predicate crime. But he doesn't ask the questions. Because he knew what the answer would have to be. The dossier. Even McCabe himself said, no dossier, no FISA. So, generally speaking, it was a horrible interview. Scott Pelley sucks. He's not a reporter. He's not a journalist. That was the worst thing I've ever seen. Absolutely the worst thing I've ever seen. It was just despicable. But, hey, the fact of the matter is, regardless, McCabe went out there and basically said that, as I've said for days now, that he and other people discussed a coup of the president, including he talked about Rodenstein wearing a wire and all these other things. I mean, this is very, very damning. And I've got to tell you, there's got to be dozens of people who are furious with McCabe right now, because he didn't just say him in a conversation with Rodenstein or a conversation with Strzok and Page. No. He said multiple meetings with many other individuals at the Department of Justice and FBI. In other words, all those other people who he said that was in those meetings, they're now going to be investigated. Someone, certainly Mr. Barr, someone, Mr. Whitaker, I don't know who, Lindsey Graham, I don't know, but somebody is certainly going to want to find out who the other people were who were in those meetings. And those people know exactly who they are. And those people are furious. And Comey's probably furious. And Rodenstein, I'm sure, is furious. Because now, Comey, Rodenstein, and McCabe are all going to be subpoenaed to Lindsey Graham's committee. And I'm almost certain that Barr, within, I would say not in the too distant future, is going to convene a grand jury. And they're all going to have to go in and either testify to a grand jury or plead the fifth and take their chances. In which case they let everyone else decide what they actually have to say. And that's never good. They're between a rock and a hard place, my friends. I'm telling you, this thing's about to blow wide open. I can't believe that McCabe did that. But, I mean, he's already in so much, trouble that I guess in his mind, he's trying to get out ahead of it. But I don't think he helped himself here. I really don't. Maybe in his mind, he only disclosed something that he believed was already going to come out anyway. So the timing is very, very strange. He comes out and does this the very day he makes the statement, the very day that he's going to go out and do an interview with 60 Minutes. The very next day, William Barr is going to be walking into his office. So it came very close proximity to William Barr being made Attorney General. And then he's got a book coming out. It's just the timing and everything. Clearly, this is some sort of a strategy that McCabe or his lawyers have to maybe get out ahead of it. But I just don't see how he wins here. So, again, he has now not only dug his own grave in this particular deal, but he's now dug the graves of probably a dozen or more people, FBI lawyers and DOJ officials, who have just been sucked into his orbit and are likely going to go down with him because they were, of course, co-conspirators at this point. And we'll be learning who their names are, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be familiar with most of them. So, I mean, everybody's got to be just furious with McCabe, whether it's Strzok and Page, Comey, certainly Rodenstein. These people have to be furious with McCabe. They have to be. Now let's go through a couple of things that he said that I wrote down. I noticed it was very interesting. He said that he kept memos. And he said that he turned them over to Mueller. Now, I think the memos he's referring to are ones that he kept about, just like Comey, about his conversations with Trump. But my guess is that Andy kept a lot of other memos, and those memos probably have not been turned over to Uncle Bob. So if I'm Lindsey Graham and I got McCabe sitting in front of me, I'm going to ask him about that, about those memos, and what memos he turned over, and what memos he did not turn over. And if I'm Lindsey Graham, I'm going to subpoena all of his memos. Certainly, if he's in front of a grand jury, they're going to subpoena all of his memos and everything else, if they haven't already. He also made it perfectly clear, in no uncertain terms, he did not mince any words. He made it perfectly clear, as he described himself, that Rodenstein and himself, Andy McCabe, were plotting to remove the president. I mean, and they don't have the authority to do it. They had no predicate crime. They had no reason. They had no probable cause. They had nothing. When you heard that weak excuse he gave, like, well, we had this and this, it was crazy stuff. Trump made a speech and said this. Trump said this. He was told by the Russians that North Korea really doesn't have an advanced missile program, and he believed them over the CIA. Oh yeah, the same guys who gave us the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, the same guys who gave us Curveball, the same guys who've given us JFK and everything else. I wonder why Trump wouldn't believe them a-holes. Reagan didn't believe them either. They were telling Reagan, no, you can't crush the Soviet Union by just getting the price of a barrel of oil down. I don't think that'll do it. They have other resources. There are other things they could do, this and that and the other thing. But Reagan was getting other information from the Heritage Foundation over saying, hey, if you can get the Saudis to lower the price of oil to about below $50 a barrel for about 3 or 4 years, the Soviet Union is going to collapse. Reagan didn't listen to the CIA. He listened to the Heritage Foundation. And they were right. And he was right. And the CIA was wrong again. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on for the next hour talking about all the times that the CIA effed it up. When McCabe was talking about the investigations that he started, I'm confused on what the hell investigations he's talking about, because when he started talking about this period of time from when Comey was fired to the time that Mueller was appointed, those 8 days, he was talking about these 8 days when all these things happened, and it was based on those things that happened and those 8 days that he said that he launched these investigations. Well, I don't know what the hell investigations he's referring to, but the fact of the matter is, that was in May of 2017. As I have documented clearly here on TowerGate many, many times, and it's on my timeline. Go look at it. The meddling into Trump and his campaign team by various rogue elements of the government, the CIA, the FBI, foreign intelligence, you name it, began almost immediately after Trump, when it became clear he was going to be the GOP nominee. Right around the middle of April, when it became obvious that Trump was going to win the GOP nomination, is when all the stuff started. That's when they started sending agent provocateurs onto Papadopoulos and Roger Stone and Michael Caputo and Michael Flynn and Carter Page and Paul Manafort. And they tried to get Josh Miller. He too got an invitation by Mr. Halper over to the London Center. So McCabe's he's laying out all these things that happened, but these things all happened in that week of May of 2017 after Comey was fired. But Operation Crossfire Hurricane was launched on July the 31st, 2016. The agents of death introduced into the Trump campaign, the O'Connor's lures, they were running around trying to set up and frame Trump's folks back in April of 2016. More than a year, 13 months before any of these things that McCabe's talking about happened. They had already investigated Trump. So we know that. So we know they were investigating all these people around Trump, sending in agent provocateurs. They launched the investigation Crossfire Hurricane on July 31st, 2016. And here's McCabe talking about the evidence that he's got was the week between the time that Comey was fired and Mueller was appointed. Hell, they've been investigating him and already had at least 2 investigations into him 12, 13 months before that. Which begs the question that Scott Pelley should have asked. Well, yeah, all that stuff happened in 2017 when Comey was fired. But wait a minute, you launched Operation Crossfire Hurricane in July of 2016. And the meeting between Papadopoulos and Downer and all the things that happened to him all happened back in March and April of 2016. All these other people were approached in the Trump campaign back in the spring, late spring of 2016. Fusion GPS was brought in April of 2016. Christopher Steele brought in, and sometime, I think he was there before that, but, for the record, July of 2016. All the FBI contacts going on with Christopher Steele, all the stuff going on. The stuff coming out of Ukraine was going on at the end of 2015. I sure hope, for McCabe's sake and all those around him, that they've got something. They better have something, and I'm pretty damn sure they don't, because if it did exist, we'd know about it by now. Trump would have already been impeached. They got nothing. All they got is the dossier, and it's it's a fraud, and they know it. And when it comes out that that's all they had, and they knew that it was garbage, I'm telling you, these people are going to jail. A lot of people are going to jail. Yeah, I know a lot of you don't believe it. I'm telling you. Remember, during Watergate, 22 high-level cabinet officials, Nixon officials, went to jail. 22, including 2 attorney generals. 2 attorney generals went to jail over Watergate. That was a little freaking burglary that went bad. This is a freaking coup. Believe me. Not even Barr, even if Barr doesn't want to prosecute this, he has no choice, especially now. And I can assure you that Mr. Barr was watching 60 Minutes Sunday night. I can assure you of that. And Barr is probably watching it going, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, I don't want to have to do this. I don't want to have to do this. But now it's public because this idiot just went out on national TV and told everybody he's given me no choice. No choice. McCabe's not, I'm telling you guys, this dude is not smart. He's not. He made so many gaffes. Let's move on. Another thing that just blew my mind. Rodenstein called Comey for advice. First, Rodenstein called McCabe and said, hey, would you call Comey? This is after Comey's been fired. Hey, would you call Comey? I'd like to get some advice on a special counsel. Because McCabe's been pushing to get the special counsel. Rodenstein's like, oh, I don't know. It may be a little too early. I think we need more evidence. I think we have to keep working on this thing. McCabe's like, no. We need a special counsel now. And Rodenstein's like, well, will you give Comey a call? I'd like to talk to him. and McCabe's like, he just got fired. I'm the boss now, not him. Why do you want to call him? No, I'm not going to call him. You call him. So Rodenstein contacted Comey for advice. Oh, I'm pretty sure that people on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Lindsey Graham's committee, are going to want to ask Rodenstein about him contacting Comey after he was fired to get advice on a special counsel. They're also going to want to talk to Comey and ask him about those conversations with Rodenstein about appointing a special counsel. And my guess is that someone's finally going to ask the damn question I've been asking for 2 years. To ask Comey if he ever, when he spoke to Mueller, did he speak to Mueller anytime after he was fired? When's the last time you spoke to Mueller, Mr. Comey? From the point that you were fired by Trump, when, since then, up until now, have you talked to Mueller? I think we're going to find out that Comey was talking to Mueller all during the days after he was fired, and that entire thing was put together. Put together. I guarantee it. So here now we have proof that Rodenstein definitely tried to get McCabe to call Comey on his behalf. McCabe declined, forced Rodenstein to call Comey himself, which it appears, according to McCabe, he did. The only other person out of that mix now is Mueller. But here you have McCabe. McCabe says that he was able to get Mueller in as the special counsel, then have the investigation handed over to him. So McCabe must have been pushing Rodenstein. Hey, you know, you need to get Uncle Bob in here. That's who you need. You need Uncle Bob in here to run this cover-up show thing. And so then Rodenstein calls Comey. And the next thing, what happens? Rodenstein's bringing Uncle Bob in to interview for the job. He doesn't get it. And the next day, he's named special counsel. I'm telling you, my friends, this is a no-brainer. McCabe, Rodenstein, Comey, and Uncle Bob, the executioner, Bob Mueller, were communicating in that week after Comey was fired, and they put this together. They put this together. The insurance policy is Uncle Bob. And they put it together. I promise you, that is going to come out. It is going to come out. I'm certain of that. McCabe said that Rodenstein was 100% on board with the investigations. I'm telling you, Rodenstein and Comey, they're so pissed right now, they cannot believe it. They cannot believe it. I'm telling you, it's over for these people, man. It's just a matter of time. Oh yes, it's the wheels of justice do grind slowly, but I'm telling you, there is no way to walk this thing back now. We're way too far into we're way too far into this thing. There's no way to walk this back. It's not possible. And that sealed the deal right there. McCabe's interview on 60 Minutes absolutely sealed the deal. You could not walk back. Discussions of taking out the president and wearing a wire on the president. You cannot walk that back. You cannot change that. There were no minced words. It was very, very direct, very matter of fact. He explained it very clearly. There's absolutely no question about that whatsoever. And the only issue now that's going to have to be resolved is what was the predicate crime used to launch these investigations, or this coup attempt. What was the evidence that you had? What crime and what was the evidence? And I'm telling you, when it all comes out, just as Devin Nunes has been saying for a year, and he's seen a lot of this stuff, it's going to come out. All they had was the dossier. That's it. Used it to get FISA warrants. They lied to the FISA court. They used it to put spies into the Trump campaign to run frame-up operations on people. Attempted to frame Trump multiple times, and it continues to this day. Uncle Bob may end up being locked up for covering up this information. And so should he be. Unbelievable, man. It's just... And again, I'm absolutely certain that William Barr was watching that interview last night, and he has absolutely got to be fit to be tied. He's got to be thinking, man, what kind of crazy person would go on TV on 60 Minutes and say that? I mean, he's put Barr in a horrible position. I don't think Barr wanted to be in this position. He really didn't. This is not something that Barr can sit back and ignore. You cannot ignore this. There's going to be a federal grand jury. There already is one looking into McCabe, but there's going to be a larger federal grand jury, and a lot of these people are going to prison. I promise you that. For sure, a month ago, it was still maybe the truth will come out, but I don't know if anybody will actually be prosecuted for it. Now, no way. Now, absolutely, 100%, definitely the truth's coming out, and now, for sure, people are going to jail. And the very first damn one is McCabe. He's also going to be the very first one that tries to turn. I guarantee you that. Okay, let's move on. I'm sure a lot of you guys have a lot of thoughts about that as well. Feel free to, have at it in the comments section. I'm sure it'll be quite entertaining, and I'll be viewing that myself when I get a chance. Okay, now back to the Jesse Smollett story that just continues every day playing itself out. He still has not come out and just admitted it, man. I mean, come on, dude, just come out and admit it. Get it over with, man. Get it over with. I mean, you're just torturing yourself. Everyone knows that you cooked this up, Mr. Smollett. So he's fired his lawyer. He's hired 2 new lawyers. He also has hired a crisis management advisor. Yeah, he needs a crisis management advisor. He sure does. And he is no longer cooperating with the police. So Jesse Smollett, the fearmonger, is in deep shit. And now the two Nigerians have made their own statement, which is that, first of all, the two Nigerians say that they're not Nigerians. They are American born and raised citizens. Raised in Chicago, born and raised in Chicago. They're not Nigerians. They said that they are not Trump haters. They're not Trump haters. And they're not Nigerians. American born, raised in Chicago. And if the news reports are correct, they were paid. This was all a big scam by the fearmonger Jesse Smollett. And he's in deep shit as well. I mean, you know, McCabe's in some really deep shit. But Mr. Smollett, his career is done. He's over. You know, I can't believe he's going to... The worst thing he can do is let this thing continue. He should just end it all, man. He should just come out tomorrow, statement by his lawyers. Okay, he cooked this whole thing up. He's an asshole. He's sorry that he's an asshole, but he cooked it all up, and he's very sorry. Sorry, and be done with it. Pay your fines, do a little jail time, and be done with it. Dragging this thing on and on and on and on is not good. Whoever's giving him advice is not giving him good advice. It's best to tell the truth, preferably all the time. And once you're caught, then you just tell the truth. You don't keep lying. Once you're caught red-handed, your hand's in the cookie jar, you got cookies in your mouth, cookie crumbs all over your face, you're caught! Jesus. Well, it looks like Chief Spreading Bull, Elizabeth Warren, was heckled mercilessly. I can't say it, but you know what I mean. She was heckled to hell and back. And the people who were heckling her were chanting, "Why did you lie?" And she didn't handle it very well. She's horrible as far as like a campaigner. I mean, her voice is kind of high and squeaky, and she just, she lacks charisma. She's a mess. Chief Spreading Bull, she's a mess. She's going nowhere. Nowhere. As soon as Bernie throws his hat in the ring, she's done. Well, the left-wing media hacks are denying that they rushed to judgment on the Smollett story, the fearmonger. They say it was Hollywood activists and celebrity press. They're the ones who did it, not us. Bullshit. We saw it. We've got the clips. They are seriously butthurt and embarrassed. I mean, it's time after time after time the fake news media gets busted. Time after time. They look like fools. Complete incompetence. And that while they may be embarrassed and butthurt and all these things, it's going to get a lot worse for those folks. Believe me, it's going to get a lot worse. Because, you know, again, as I've mentioned before, Len Wood is a AAA attorney. He only takes cases he can win. Google him. Look at the cases he's done. He only wins. And he doesn't go for chump change. When he gets a settlement, it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Hundreds of millions of dollars. And he's got a big-time class action lawsuit against a lot of these people. Hollywood lefties, media people, the whole 9 yards. And I'll guarantee you that 90% of them are going to try to settle out of court. And the 10% who don't will wish they had. Because when he gets done with them, they're going to be a lot worse than embarrassed and butthurt. They're going to be seriously light in their bank accounts by several $1 million each. And hopefully this will put an end to this liberal insanity. You see, this Smollett thing alone will not do it. This will not do it. Yeah, they'll be embarrassed, they'll be butthurt, but tomorrow they'll have another fake news story that they'll ride for a couple of days until the next one comes along. Most of them manufactured. But when they actually get taken into court and they get relieved of several $1 million of their assets, that's when they think twice before hitting that Twitter button or going on fake news and running these stories without checking them. And a lot of these people are specifically being targeted by Mr. Wood are definitely going to be either settling out of court for millions of dollars or allowing the jury to decide how much they're going to pay. And you always end up worse off if you let the jury, especially when you got Len Wood, because he has a tendency to get lots of money in these types of settlements. So you got people like Alyssa Milano, who's currently having a major meltdown because she got duped by Mr. Smollett. You have Cher. You have what's his name, Rob Reiner, the meathead. Katy Perry, politicians. You have Cory Booker and Kamala Harris. These people are going to be writing checks. Big, fat checks to Mr. Wood. You can be assured of that. Absolutely. Well, the fallout continues for OcasioCortez. Democrats in New York and elsewhere are seething mad. The more that this goes on and the more that they think about what they just lost, the angrier they get. And, Cortez's stock is definitely going down. And the majority of New Yorkers who have been interviewed, in fact, they did a poll, like 58% supported the deal, even in their own damn neighborhood. And it's not just the people in the neighborhood, and it's not even just, general people in general. It's liberal, Democrat politicians were strongly supportive of this deal. So, even the liberal Democrats are pissed at her. Then we have Al Not-So-Sharpton. Al Not-So-Sharpton has come out and said, yeah, we got to hold Jesse accountable if he staged this attack. And he did. But Al Not-So-Sharpton should know this very, very well, because he made his career by representing this young black girl about 20 years ago who made a similar claim that she was raped by a bunch of white guys. And it turned out to be fraud. Fraud. And he had to actually pay damages for going out and saying horrible things about these so-called accusers. And so Al Not-So-Sharpton, you'd think that he'd learn his lesson and shut his damn mouth. We have Malia Obama, who's got a secret Facebook page, not so secret anymore, and that she has put on her Facebook that Donald Trump is evil. Donald Trump is evil. Maybe she should go back to dancing and smoking dope at those gigs that she goes to. I think she's a groupie. Malia Obama needs to go back to smoking the wacky weed and doing whatever she does. And I believe that, it looks like here that Joe Biden's granddaughter gave a like to the Donald Trump is evil post by Malia Obama. Let's see. What else have we got on today's fair? Jesus. What a nutty group of people we share this planet with. In fact, I'm convinced once we build the damn border wall, I think that we need to throw all the damn liberals over the wall on the Mexican side. Once we get the wall built, we need to deport the liberals and the social justice warriors and the demo commies and the whole 9 yards. Throw their asses over the wall. They like Mexico so much, go live there. Get them out of the country. They're a threat. And I'm sick of them. Sick to death of these people. The Senate Intelligence Committee is not happy with Chrissy Steele. Apparently, the Senate Intelligence Committee has been trying for 2 years to get him to come in and testify face-to-face. He won't do it. He would only answer written questions. But he didn't seem to have any problem coming here to the States 3 or 4 times during the summer of 2016 to brief media outlets on his lies. But now he can't seem to find a way over here to face the music. And he also lied in his statement, by the way. In the answers to the questions he gave, there's some lies in there. Now, he's a British citizen. I don't know what we can do to him other than embarrass him. But there may be some issues for him as well. And he's still, of course, caught up in these civil suits, which are probably bankrupting him with legal fees. People asking about Ginsburg. You know, we got this report that she is back in Supreme Court. But the last picture that was taken of Ginsburg was in November of 2017 or 2018. Well, let's see. We have an art school in Ohio that is promoting a children's event called Shoot the President. It is Olmsted Performing Arts in Ohio, and the object of the game is to shoot the president. The president is surrounded by bodyguards while everyone else tries to shoot the president. For kids, it's just fun. Sick fucks. How's this possible? My friends, I'm telling you, this is not normal, just crazy lefties, nutty liberals. We've been dealing with these people for a long time. But one thing that we're really beginning to see about the whole leftist movement, the whole left in general, is that they're just hateful people. They're filled with hate. I mean, I know a few liberals, and they are hateful people. They have a lot of hate in them. And I don't know what it is, But there's just a lot of hate with these people, and it's doing a lot of harm to the country. As I just stated, I think we need to build the wall and then deport the damn liberals. This country would be so much better off without them. Thank you so much for tuning in. Guys, have a good night. See ya. Bye.